Well, it's been a long day. Got up to this point, that made it even longer, and now I'm realizing that it's not going to work the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to be redoing that back there. And that's just the other side. What's up, everyone? You ever have one of those times when you get really annoyed because you special made something for a project and it was super handy, and then you spend 2 days and you can't find it and wasted a whole bunch of time when honestly you can buy a 4-pack of these clamps for $27 on Amazon. So for tacking exhaust, I had one of these and I cut windows into it so you can clamp your two pieces together and tack weld it, and then take the clamp back off, and you've got a good matchup on your pipes. So I had one of those when I did the exhaust on my green Jeep, and worked awesome. I cannot find it anywhere. I've wasted way too much time looking for it. I need 4 of these for the exhaust on the new Jeep, but honestly, my local parts store, it's about the same price for one as it is for 4 of them on Amazon. So I'll just order 4 more. And I'll just have to use the one with holes in it to hold things in place for now, and then I'll replace it with a good solid one before I'm finished. So anyways, I'm gonna build another one, cut some holes in this, and then I can get back on my project. I'm gonna give you a little bit of an update where I'm at. Like I said, I'm not gonna video most of it because I can't get a camera set up in there without knocking it over and it being in the way. So I'll crawl down there and look. And right now, my floor is a mess. I've got bits and pieces of pipe everywhere. I got drive lines going on because I needed to be able to put something in place to make sure the exhaust doesn't hit and whatnot. So it's a mess. When I'm done with the exhaust, I'm gonna clean it all back up. So here's some of the mess, and there's some more of the mess, and then there's some more of the mess. Right now I have this pipe off the header out. It's over there on top of the block. That's why I need the clamp, because I got to clamp the piece laying underneath it to it and tack it. On the passenger side, I've got that one clamped in place, run back, and then I'm going to do an X pipe right here, and then out to the muffler up above the rear axle, and then out the back. So I've got bits and pieces that I'm working on. Don't really have a solid plan on how to route this. There's just a lot of stuff in the way. Got to look out for link bars mostly, and running dual exhaust. I'm really surprised on the driver's side how little room I had to run. On my other Jeep, it's a passenger drop front axle. I ran both pipes down the driver's side with clutch linkage and everything, and I had more room in it than I do on this, and this frame's 4 inches wider. But this frame is solid tube, where that one's C-channel, and I could run in the frame rails. So just some differences that I'm dealing with, but I'll hopefully by the end of the day today, I'll have the exhaust mocked in for the most part, and I'll give you a look at it then. I'm gonna take a break right here and just ask if you're watching and you're not subscribed, which most of my viewers actually are non-subscribed. So it would do me a huge solid, and I'd be very appreciated if you would hit the like and subscribe to the channel. I don't have a whole lot of followers, and every little bit helps. So if you could do that, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah, so it's really deformed. Gotta kind of squish it back into shape. I need to clamp it down on a piece of tubing and it'll regain its shape a little better. But you can see we got the windows in it now, so I can actually tack weld with my TIG welder instead of using the MIG welder. Nothing wrong with doing it with a MIG welder, but you end up with non-stainless rod or filler. You end up with non-stainless in there. I'm doing all stainless tubing with stainless filler rod on the TIG, and I just don't want rust spots. So that's why I like to do it this way. Yeah, I'll order some more of these, and I'm actually going to modify this a little bit more because I have 10 of those clamps. So I'm probably going to end up welding basically, hold on, let's see if I can get here. I'm going to take the feet of this, and I'll probably actually just weld them to the bar there on each piece, and I'll run without the bolts in it. That way I can clamp it on, take it off, move it, and re-clamp it, and not have to bolt it and unbolt it every time. But for right now, I'm just going to do it with the bolts because I'm in kind of tight spots, and I don't know if I can fit that and get up in there and weld. All right, let's see. Oh, gotta get my wrenches that are under here. Okay. The reason I need this clamp is I gotta tack these two together out of the vehicle because it's up in a tight spot and I can't get to it. So even though that's a little bit of an angle, I'm hoping the clamp will hold it enough for me to be able to do this. So right there, I can line it up through the window with my mark. Slide that one in with my mark. I have to tighten this clamp up quite a ways before it'll let me do what I want to do. I need a welding helmet. There it is. I'm gonna get this unwound out of everything. Very disorganized. I need to do better. I need to do a lot better. Alright, that worked really well. Now, let's take a look at the other side. Really need the clamp to do this one. That was a terrible fit up on my part. Come on. This is getting annoying. I have to use quite a bit of filler on that, but oh well. Okay, well, at least it's tacked and I can test fit again. That was the main goal here. On straight joints, that works better. I should have tacked this one, take this piece first because it's angled, and then that's a straight joint, and that would have been much better use of that clamp. So, oh well. I gotta try and get the clamp back off. Right here would have been a nice time to have it on that set of vice grips instead of using the bolts. Unclip and go. So at least it's tacked. We can test fit and see what we got underneath. The masking tape's a trick I picked up from watching Dirt Head Shed. Dave Chappelle, he's a pretty smart dude, and that trick works really well. I gotta cut, I don't want to have all these bells on here, so I'm gonna cut the bells off and weld most of this out. There'll be a couple joints that I leave the bells because I won't be able to remove full pieces when it's in the Jeep. So we're gonna hack these off and get them tacked up, and then I'll start working on the X pipe. Need my glasses. Remember, safety third, everyone. Yes, I'm aware cardboard is flammable. I keep an eye on it. It's right by the garage door. If it starts on fire, I'll kick it outside and let it burn. But I really don't like all the sparks everywhere, and I don't want it hitting my windows on the garage door. So I just doing what that to contain the mess a little bit. Motor on the saw just hit the pipe up there. Making sure they weren't cutting diagonal. It's kind of hard to clamp with a bell end on the saw as well. All right. With the grinder. have one of those nice little pipe reamers, and I can't find it either. It's probably hanging out with my clamp and laughing at me somewhere. I'll probably find it as soon as I get done with this project. This just needs to butt weld right to there. And it doesn't have to be clocked any certain way because it's a clamp on that end, it's a straight run. And then I'll be adding a piece onto the end of this. And that piece is probably going to be part of the X pipe, or over to the X pipe. So it probably won't need to be clocked anyway either, because there will be a clamp to the X pipe. So we'll move over and start welding. Alright, so I put a couple pieces of pipe in there. This is for the X pipe. Laid underneath, tried to eyeball as straight as I could on the edge of the pipe, measured over half the diameter, which was 1.25 inches on 2.5 inch pipe. So that's my center line of my cut, and then I have to coat the pipe to make it all fit. So I'm going to try and get this in the chop saw and get that angle cut, and then I got to do a bunch of grinder work to be able to make it work. Alright, so I did have to trim that 1.25 inches off. Things just kept moving and moving and moving. It actually worked better to cut it off. So now I gotta coat this pipe to fit around another piece of pipe. You see the gaps there on the side. We gotta get this thing to fit. So I'm going to try and mark this out and cut it with a death wheel and get this thing to fit as tight as possible, and then we can try and fit things back up underneath and go from this point. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do, especially because I don't, you know what, I have a table right here, it's just covered in crap. To make some room. Alright, so I got this one coped and I cut the inside. There we go. Kind of see it down in there. Trying to figure out how to get that same cope on the other side. Plus it's going to be on one of these, which I got to cut 3 inches out of the middle of this and tighten that up. But I couldn't figure out what to do, so I ended up cutting the tacks back off of this and putting cardboard around it, taping it, cutting the shape, and then now I made a sleeve that goes over this piece that has the cope that I need. So we're going to try and get all this fitted up now. Alright, some of you might be wondering why I'm doing an X-pipe. X-pipes are not required at all. I did one on my square body pickup. I was going for a certain sound with it, that's why I did an X-pipe on it. But also, X-pipes cancel drone, and instead of running an H pipe, which also cancels drone, I decided on the X pipe because of my upper link bars, the way they're triangulated in. An X pipe actually achieves the same thing. It gives it a little bit different sound, but it was mostly to cancel drone, and I had tight space to work with, so that was the only reason for doing this. On the pickup, I bought a pre-made one, but it didn't have I couldn't pick the angle, and I knew I was going to have a certain angle, so that's why we went this route. A little more work, and honestly, trying to weld down in these is not going to be very fun because I'm not real great at tigging, but you know, that's how you learn, is by doing it. So we're going to get that done. I got to cut 3 inches out of this right here and shorten that up, and then I've got another tight 90 like this one that I'm going to weld on here, and I have another piece like this that'll go on it, so that I can make each one the same and run them back. We're going to go up. I'm actually going to cut and twist this one, and this one will twist back too, so they'll run side by side, pretty close to each other. That way I can pop out to a muffler after this, and then from the muffler out the very back. So anyway, it's just a little explanation as to why. Not required, not needed. My other Jeep, it's straight true dual, no tie together on it, and it has grown like crazy, and I want to get rid of drone. Alright, so we're trying to make all this stuff kind of match up underneath, and I have this sharp 90. It's my last one, but it should be the last one that I need. I ended up using the other half of this on the passenger side right off the header, and I used one of these on the driver's side right off the header, so I got mix match in the back too. But they accomplish the same goal. Basically, this one's I'm going to cut off that pipe on that line, weld this one on, and then underneath I have 2 more of these that have to be the other side of it that come out the back. So we're going to cut that line there. I have to do it with the grinder because, well, can't fit that in the chop saw anymore. So we'll get it cut, we'll get that piece tacked on, and start figuring out the rest of it from there. It's been a long day. Got up to this point, that made it even longer, and now I'm realizing that it's not going to work the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to be redoing that back there, and that's just the other side.